pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Council members Kern and Reeves are absent tonight, but we still have a quorum with 3 council members present, so we will proceed with business. First up is to approve tonight's agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Citizen comments. Hearing no citizen comments, we'll move along to our consent agenda. That includes the minutes of our October 7th meeting and appropriations ordinance 1278.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda approved. Moving on to items of business. First up, we have a review of the infrastructure project bids for the water lines out at the airport.
Last Tuesday at 11 was the bid opening for that project, and Chad from Lochner was here to open the bids and go over that. We received one bid, and I've included that tabulation in the agenda packet. You'll see that bid was from NOAC Construction out of Goddard, and the bid was $410,139. That bid is considerably over the estimate, engineer's estimate, that you'll also see on the tabulation sheet. The project was estimated at $184,950. And so after some conversations with Lochner on where maybe some discrepancies lie, he did reach out to NOAC to talk with them a little bit about it too, because you'll see specifically the meter building line item is significantly higher, and the 1.5 inch water line, both of those things, to see where maybe there was some differences there. And so Lochner is suggesting that because that was so much higher than what we were anticipating for the project, that we do not accept that bid, and they think that also timing was a factor why we only received one bid, that there's some other contractors that were interested, but due to timing, they don't think that they bid the project just because of other projects they're currently working on right now or will be in the near future. But they think that refining the scope of work a little bit to better put in some cost-saving measures and then going to bid again, they think that we could receive multiple bids and maybe closer to our estimate. So the recommended action for the council tonight would to not accept this bid and then to approve to go back out to bid for this project.
Hard when the bids you receive are more than twice the estimated cost for them. Refresh our memory, this is help being funded by cost share grant from
Correct.
KDOT.
Right. We received a KDOT cost share grant for $150,000. So we've already paid part of the electrical line install out of that. Unfortunately, costs have gone up since we received that grant in two years ago now, a year and a half ago, 2 years. But our funding there is not jeopardized, even though this project has been drawn out. I've maintained communication with KDOT, and we're still good as far as that funding availability, but this does far exceed both the grant and then the portion that we had originally earmarked for it.
Well, if we were to accept this bid, then we would probably be going at least $250,000 out of pocket as
Right.
far as what would take for our funding to pay for it.
More than that.
How long ago was it that Lochner estimated this cost on their side?
I think fairly recently. I think
I
before
didn't know whether rising costs, if it's been long enough that,
in the last couple months,
Okay.
when they started advertising for bid, putting the bid package together to advertise. So I think this is a fairly recent estimate, not one that we've had at, you know, the beginning of the project.
Okay. I have worked with Mohawk before, I mean, they're a reputable company, but that's quite a bit of difference.
Yeah, and
I
it's
know
very,
you can't hit it on the dollar, you know.
well, also it's just disappointing that that's the only number we got.
I understand that.
Not much to compare to. So, if the engineers think they can refine a couple things in the bid specs and, entice maybe one or two at least other companies to respond, I think it's worth it for us to go out to bid, just because it'd be a tough pill to swallow if that's gonna be our cost for this.
So they can make those, adjustments to the bid specs this week and then get it back out again. I think this last time we advertised it for about a month, so.
If we get some more bids, see how they compare, and they're still kind of out of our scope of payment, can we go ahead and complete the water well, get water, say, to our one tenant we have out there, maybe just go up to the parking area and get water there? I mean, do we have prospects for the very southwest corner?
We do have the current lease down there, but they do not have immediate plans to build, so they don't need water immediately like the other tenant would like.
I mean, if it would go ahead and.
I think we could look at a phased approach like that.
Yes.
If we do go out to bid and don't see favorable bids come in and a price tag that we're comfortable with, I think that is something that we could consider.
I mean, are you guys agreeable to that, or?
Yeah.
I mean, at least we could get our water well completed, get the one tenant that we have out there water, because I think he's hauling water in there now.
He is, he's ready for water when we can provide it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as the bid spec, we're putting in 4,200 feet of water line,
Yeah.
and if we were to cut that substantially, that could be a substantial cost savings.
Well, and, you know, whatever else goes along with that water line, not just the plumbing part of it.
Yeah.
What else are they gonna install in there that?
Well, I think first step is, let's see if we can get additional contractors to bid to the specs as they are now. And again, if those all come in higher than we're comfortable paying, then we probably need to have a conversation with Walker about limiting the scope more than what it is right now. But I think first step would just be, let's see if we can get more fish to bite and see what comes of that.
Was Lochner gonna let Milwaukee know that this was the direction we were gonna take tonight?
That would be the
That they would be
recommended,
going back out
Yes.
for bids again?
yeah, most likely.
But yet they would have to let them know what Lochner would have to let them know what they were gonna change on the scope of the work.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm sure they'd be invited to bid
To
again,
rebid.
whatever was changed.
Mhm.
But just, it's not unheard of just to go back to the contractor and say, well, the numbers came back higher than we can pay, so
Oh, yeah, I fully understand that.
back to the drawing board.
I fully
And they did have a phone conversation. Chad from Lochner told me he did talk to somebody with the company and discuss the bid and why there is so much discrepancy, and so.
Well, council, the recommendation would be to decline the bids that we received and work with Lochner to rebid that project in the near future. If that's the consensus direction you guys want to take. And if that's what you want to do, I'd say just open the floor for a motion to that effect.
I'd make a motion that we do not accept the Milwaukee construction bid for the water project at the airport upon waiting for more bids.
It's been moved and seconded to decline the one bid we received and work with Lochner to rebid that project. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, moving on to our next item of business. Same vein of things getting more expensive. Public Works has got some bids for new trucks, or a new truck.
Yes, you'll recall that a few months ago, we sold some older equipment at auction, and I mentioned at that time that we'd be looking to purchase some replacement vehicles. Danny's been working to find a 3/4 ton pickup that'd be a good fit for our public works department. And I've included 2 quotes here for your consideration. We would like a 3/4 ton to be able to pull some of our heavier equipment like the vac trailer and sewer machine. Right now, they're using the mini bucket electric truck quite a bit because it's really the only thing that can pull the vac trailer very well. So we would like a pickup to be able to do that, so they're not having to use the bucket truck to do that. You'll see 2 different pickups here. One is a 2024 Ram 2500 from Lot Motors at $48,820, and a 2025 Chevy Silverado 2500 at Lewis at $48,598. Pretty similar pricing on both of those trucks. Danny did say that he would prefer the Dodge, but both would be good pickups that would suit our needs. Our current cash balance of the equipment reserve fund is $229,000, and the money that we received, the proceeds from the auction did go in there, so that's reflected in that number, and that's where I recommend that we make this purchase out of.
What was the total figure we got out of the surplus equipment that we sold? 32,000 something. So we won't have to take that much out of our equipment
No,
fund
no,
to meet that balance?
and we have budgeted transfers we're putting into that equipment reserve as well, so that's being replenished quarterly.
Well, of the 2, I would rather have the Dodge than.
I know, talking to Dad there, the Ram price was significantly higher to start out.
Right.
And then, so they took more off at the top, it's worth more money. I think it was like
One reason
$6,000.
I say that, I feel like the Dodge is kind of a little heavier. The reason we're getting it, pulling heavier equipment, the Dodge has a little better suspension than.
I know a lot of fleets, K-Gas and in general, they're all going Dodge right now for the newer trucks. Don't know why, but it seems to be a fleet pattern.
And we both, for either one of them, we have dealers that are close by.
Mm-hmm.
Well, council, any further discussion or action on purchasing that new truck?
I'd make a motion to,
I think Wayne just
Yeah, here.
okay, I'm sorry, Lynn.
I move that we proceed with the Ram.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to proceed with the purchase of the Ram truck from Lot Motors. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. All right, on to our final item of business tonight, and that's just our routine review of our quarter financials, this time for the 3rd quarter.
Yep, that's there for your review, and I would entertain any questions you might have.
Council, any questions or comments, or just want to digest that for a bit and reach back out to Stacy if you do have questions? If that sounds like a plan, we'll just take a look and encourage you, if anyone does have any questions on our fund financials, to get with Stacy and figure it out. All right, that takes care of our items of business tonight. On to city staff reports. Stacy.
I emailed you this last Monday, but wanted to announce it for anybody also watching that we did receive the KDOT Transportation Alternatives Grant. They announced those awards last Monday, and we did receive for connecting sidewalks $1 million with 0 local match. And that will actually come out of the federal fiscal year 2026, so this is a project that's down the road a bit, but I will be attending a virtual kickoff meeting on the 28th to learn more about the grant process and the initial paperwork and documents we need to submit and all of that to get the ball rolling. So that's exciting to have received that. I know you'll remember first of the year, when we first had our planning meeting and started talking about it, and I think that deadline was like a week away, and we threw it together, and here we are $1 million later, so, pretty exciting. The lead service line inventory that I've talked about was submitted before the October 16th deadline to KDHE, so that is done. Our next step will be within 30 days from that date. We have to send a brochure notifying any customers that have lead, unknown, or galvanized lines. To my knowledge, on our spreadsheet, we didn't have any lead service lines identified. However, we do have unknowns, and we do have some that are galvanized. And so we will need to go through that spreadsheet and look at line by line and see how many of those brochures we need to send out before November 16th. So that will be the next hurdle for us to cross as far as the lead service line notification to customers. So if you hear somebody asking if they get that in the mail, why am I getting this? That's why we're required to do that. So. KPP Energy is still waiting to receive the letter of conditions from USDA on the PACE project, so I don't really have an update on that. They're waiting on that letter of conditions before moving forward with any sort of groundbreaking or timeline for construction, so stay tuned. Kiowa County Economic Development was recently advertising a call for proposals to build childcare here. I'm just updating you on this because it pertains to both property that the city is contributing towards the project and then also financial contribution that was approved. That RFP did close on the 17th, and they received 3 responses, so that board will be reviewing those responses and moving forward accordingly. So there is some forward movement on that project. And I think that's all. We're doing other stuff. Meter reading bills are going out, some of the usual month-to-month stuff. So.
Any questions for Stacy?
On this transportation grant, these connecting sidewalks, is that $1 million worth of sidewalks, or is there gonna be a lot of other extensive work goes along with it to put them in?
There's engineering and design work to make sure that they're built in the correct right-of-ways with up to different federal codes for like handicapped accessibility, all of those different things. So there's quite a bit of engineering and design work that's built into that. That's not just concrete.
That's pretty long
20 feet
sidewalk.
wide, is that what it's for?
They're really wide sidewalks, Mark.
I didn't know he was gonna make one to Pratt and back, you know?
Yeah.
Figure half goes in construction, half goes to engineers and lawyers.
Yep, pretty much. The mayor is accurate. That's pretty much the budget is half for engineering and design work and half for construction.
So in the design, I mean, if you're talking for handicap part where they cut curbing and stuff and coming off the street up to the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
So the goal is basically from the school up, there's some curb cuts that need to be made because there are not ramps right now around by the school. Connecting sidewalk down here to the senior center, from the senior center here to Main Street, all around this block, across the street here to finish that, back down to the swimming pool park from Big Well Park so that those are connected, and then all the way down Florida to the hospital.
Just curious.
It's very exciting that we received that, and it's almost unheard of for me to get a grant with no local match, so no nickels out of our pocket. Other questions for Stacy? Do we have any governing body comments tonight? Hearing none of those, that brings us to the end of our agenda, so we will adjourn the meeting. Thanks for your time, everybody.